So thank you both for meeting with me again. I kind of brought you two back as part of our larger collaborative team to do some reflection and review of the process so far on our goal to helping the ELL subpopulation of students. So my first question is, reflecting back from our original training and our original presentation, the next few weeks, can you kind of reflect and give feedback on the work we've done as a team?
I think we've had a couple of MTSS meetings since then.
Yes.
Right. So we've identified some additional students that we can hone in on. Miss Barrientos, our ESL teacher, has reached out to individual teachers to suggest accommodations for students. And I know they've had another ESL huddle, so she was able to introduce another strategy to all of the ESL teachers that included modeling and just some overall PD for the teachers.
Yeah, the ESL huddle on Fridays, which I think is a great idea. I want to kind of bring that to light even more, improve teacher participation for that. What do you think as well? Because we do have ESL students that are coded as special ed as well.
Right.
Is there anything like going from the previous month to right now that you have any feedback as a team that we've made improvements on?
Yeah, I mean, like Mr. Stradivig is saying, is scheduling those meetings so we have time to have them, and is everyone available, and is it a valuable time for them to have it? That's our biggest problem, I think, sometimes is making it important for the person and creating the time for them to participate.
So they have to see it being worthwhile to them. Right. That's one thing that I think as teachers, they get so busy, caught up in the day. Oh, that's just another training. But I think the goal going forward is how can we make this impactful for everybody? Because in the end, it's all about student learning. I also kind of wanted to say, like, how do you think we were able to collaborate as a team, all of us? Do you think we have a good relationship? Do we think that you bounce off each other well?
I think so. I think the fact that I was previously in the special education department gives me some background with that staff and, of course, the facilitators. And then I work closely with Ms. Barrientos with the EB PEAMS coding pieces of it and being the LPAT coordinator. And then all of us being together in the MTSS team, I think, is crucial because we're able to, we know which kids we're talking about, we know which teachers we're talking about, we know where the needs are, and we know what resources we can pull from to provide trainings or like finding rooms, finding people who can provide the professional development like central office or instructional specialists and things like that.
It's interesting that you bring up MTSS. I think that is such a core principle of helping at-risk students and bringing in multiple experiences, whether counselors, LPAC, special ed. We all have different experiences, so it's great that we can kind of collaborate and work toward, helping students that are struggling. Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I think again, kind of bouncing off of Mr. Stradivig, we all have different expertise, and we put that all together. It all does kind of come together. We all have different roles to the same students, so it's just kind of figuring out where we intersect and how to make that work for everyone.
Yeah, as an outsider coming into the district, I felt like I was accepted too. Bringing new ideas, so and people were open to hearing what I had to hear, even if it was like the hard truths, the hard facts. Yeah. That was great to feel validated.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I think it is important for us to recognize if we have an area of need, then we need to be open to hearing other people's, based on what their experiences are, just their ideas, because we're trying to troubleshoot and we're trying to grow. And so if what we're doing isn't working, then we need to do something different, right?
It's not always a one size fit all, you know. Speaking on that, how did you feel you specifically contributed to the team?
I do.
Your specific role.
Yeah, I do a lot of background information gathering, right? So
Data pooling.
yes, I pull a lot of data, whether it's like bringing in the 504 plans, looking at transcripts, looking at attendance, a lot of demographic information, and then I think both of us, right? We both meet with 504 and ES and special education. We meet with families, so we also have a lot of information that maybe somebody who doesn't meet with families would have, right? We have a lot of background information. So I think, but I do a lot of pre-work that I bring to the meeting.
Yeah, and I thank you for that every time we go there, because I'm like, I don't understand how all this came together, but it makes sense, you know. And Mr. T.
Yeah, so in special education, because we're so broad, we kind of feel like we have eyes and ears everywhere.
Oh yeah,
So
that is
even
true.
students that aren't special education, we are normally aware of them. We know something. We've gotten feedback. Teachers reach out to us anytime there's an issue, even if they're not special education. So we also, having the criteria of how to qualify for special education, what that process is, so we're there to support that role if that's the right direction and make sure to make those pre-steps before we get there.
It has to fit. If I understand what you're saying. If the accommodations are there, we have to figure out a solution. I think you both do a great job of that and advocate for the plan itself. How did we create a plan that worked for ELL subpopulation? So, in special ed, you have plans, right, like IEPs. But how do you think we created a plan to help special ed students in the MTSS review team?
So I mean, it's going to come from a lot of different angles. So it's not just special education. It's working with the LPAC and ESL groups,
Student services.
student services, our community and schools, our admin partners, counselors. It's everybody. It's definitely a circle. It's a full group thing. So I think it's figuring out that group and figuring out what each person's role is, and just kind of making sure that we're all headed towards the same goal. So
The right person for the right job, but we all are having a unified vision. Okay. Yeah.
And I was just saying, I think it's also important that we have administration who allows us time and space to be able to come together and meet, because we're a pretty big group, right? And
Yeah, like about 15.
yeah,
If everyone comes, yeah.
right. And it's hard. I think it would be easy for people to say, "Oh, I don't have time," or "I have other commitments," or "I have to do these other things." But I think our administration for the last couple of years, right, has been committed to giving us the time and the space to meet and to have all of the conversations and do everything.
To have honest conversations too, because there's a point where some might not agree with this plan, but let's talk it out and hash it.
Right.
Okay. Do you feel more empowered being in MTSS as an educator in general?
I do, because I think that we're able to really develop a plan for students, right? So if a kid isn't in any program at all, we can say, okay, we're going to try out these accommodations. Or we can reach out to teachers and say, these are the things that the MTSS committee has agreed to, right? Just like a 504 committee or an LPAC committee or the IEP team, right? We have some amount of power, so to speak, to be able to implement accommodations and help for students and supports for students. And that's
Their
not a
overall
question.
plan.
Right, yes. Mm-hmm.
And do you feel empowered, like being in MTS, helping students, create a plan for them that, can improve student learning?
Yeah, definitely. So coming from special education and now being kind of broader, the MTSS experience, I just see more avenues of ways we can help students. Before we ever get to a tier 3 type situation, there's so many other ways to intervene and help a student before it gets that far.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's other schools and other school districts that, they're feeling that's it. They just kind of give up on the students. So I really appreciate that we have something like this in place. And then, we can continue to make small gains that way. When I was doing walkthrough observations and talking with teachers, do you think there would be more receptive to changing, or to change after learning about this plan?
I think so. I think teachers, for the most part, are going to take any help they can get, and they they have the student's best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And if they're saying, hey, you know what, well, the student isn't being successful right now, but these people have come together and have created this plan. Let me try this because it's going to help the student. It's going to help me. It's going to help everybody, and hopefully we see growth.
Yeah. Do you think, in your opinion, the teachers are receptive to change?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in education,
And
you want to.
feedback.
If you're in education, you want to help students. So if someone's giving you the tools and the information to help you guide those students and get to where they need to be, then I think you're definitely going to be receptive to it. As long as you're able to show them how are they an important role in it, and how can they use those tools effectively to help that student.
Okay, I understand. I see that. So my my other concern was, if we want to keep making progress going forward, what are some other improvements or changes that we can have in place? Is it professional development? Is it just overall training, or like just talking with students, bringing in more teachers? Then, like, what are some other things we can do for the next long term?
I think, like, regarding the ELLs, I think it is, or the EB students, it is imperative that teachers understand how those students qualify, because I think a lot of times there's a misconception that they have an accent or they don't speak any English, but we have students that are EBs that have been here for 6, 7, more than 6 years, 6+ years. And so I think that's a big part of it, understanding that these students may still be struggling with language acquisition.
Even though they've been here a long time, is what you're saying. Okay.
Right, and so just baseline
Education.
being able to identify, right, and know how these students qualify.
Okay.